What the fuck is up, juggalos and juggalettes, outsiders and outsiderettes? We're gonna do this like this, alright? We're gonna talk about these two records really quick because I didn't do a full review on either one of these, and I promised to do one. I think we all can agree that both of these albums have their high points, and only one of these albums really have a low point, so we'll get into that. Well, the only thing that these albums have in common is they were both released on the same record label. That's the only goddamn thing that these two records have in common. Okay, one is from a band called Twisted, and one's from a band called Insane Clown Posse. This, in my opinion, is a big letdown for a Joker card. But, that being said, I don't think it's a terrible album. I think it would have did great and had a little bit more respect in the Juggalo community if it wouldn't have been a Joker card. I think that if it wasn't a Joker's card, I would have liked it more, and I would have respected it more, because it's just, like I said, all over the place. There's no coherency in this album. There's no, there's no path to follow. You know, when you hear Chris Benoit, it's almost like that song doesn't even belong on that album. The song about Chris Brown, I forget the track, the title, the song that sounds like it came right off of Hell's Pit, is terrible. I mean, it's utterly and without a doubt one of the worst songs on the entire album. Personally, my favorite track on this album is Blaster. Blaster is one fucking hell of a track. It sounds like it should have been right on like Riddlebox or Great Milenko, or could have even been on an album like Jekyll Brothers. It's just 100% Insane Clown Posse. Chris Benoit could have used extra verses. Definitely. There should have been at least one more verse by each member of the Insane Clown Posse. And it should have been ended with Violent J and one of his epic ending verses, because he has a good way of ending off songs with like epic verses. This was not happening on Chris Benoit. If you would cut Chris Benoit off of the album, it would be more coherent. Obviously, I'm more of a 6 Joker card kind of guy myself. The New Era is a little iffy to me. The New Era is something like candy, bubblegum, wicked shit. Yes, there is still hints of the wickedness, and yes, they still do follow the same patterns of some of the old Joker cards, and yes, there are very small windows of brightness that open up and you can almost see what they used to be shining out through them. And I'm not sure if it's ego or if it's the want to impact the mainstream or somehow get their name heard by more than just the Juggalo community. In a way, I almost feel as if the new direction that ICP is going is in favor of younger kids of today's generation, the more hot topic people of the world. And it kind of almost hurts in a way, because they've almost left the real juggalos, in the dust. Now, Twisted did exactly what I wanted Twisted to do. They confronted all the issues in the Juggalo community. The things that ICP should be doing, Twisted is now doing. I hope to God, I pray for you every night that you can last and survive, because you are, my friend, the future of Psychopathic Records. Jamie Madrox single-handedly is the future of Psychopathic Records. Keeping it going though, Twisted really came together on this CD to like completely and utterly touch every issue that Juggalos have been facing and have faced over the past 5-10 years. These guys literally came out and represented for us strong and hard, and anyone from the outside world that takes a look at this CD in a serious light will realize finally that Insane Clown Posse and Psychopathic Records are not joking around. This album is a landmark in Psychopathic history. One of the best, if not the best, album that has been released on Psychopathic. I just checked the Billboard charts the other day, and this album topped at 2 on the rap charts. Not the not the independent rap charts, the rap charts. I believe Twisted's album is the best hip-hop record in the last 2 to 3 years. Yes, better than all Death Grips records, yes. Better than Killer Mike's rap music. If you haven't heard it, go check it out, because Killer Mike's rap music is the shit. But it is definitely kicking their asses. This album is hands down one of the best emotional roller coasters that I've ever been on in my entire life. I love The Green Book. I love Most Tasteless. I love Mirror Mirror. But this fucking piece of work is insane. It is like Wicked induced with fucking heart-pounding drugs to make sure that it never ever lets up. This album is relentless. It attacks you over and over again. It eases you at points, but also lifts you up. It gives you direction. It gives you insight. It gives you everything you've ever wanted from Twisted is right here on this album. If I were to recommend any album to any fan of music or rap music, this would be the album I recommend. I have backed this album 120%, and this album, on the other hand, I do respect. I think it's a great album. I love the songs Forever. I love the song Blaster. I love the song Chainsaw, and I also love the song Bazooka Joey. Now, Bazooka Joey and Chainsaw both seem like they could have been on a Violent J solo album and a Shaggy 2 Dope solo album. If I were Insane Clown Posse, what I would have done with this album is I would have took some of the tracks and put them on other things, and I would have waited to release this card. I would have waited because when you start releasing Joker cards like this is when we start to doubt in what the carnival is all about. Because something like this, honestly, does not deserve a Joker card. The thing is like when the first 6 Joker cards released, they had in between albums like Tunnel of Love and, you know, Beverly Kills and things like that. These little EPs, it would have been perfect to take these songs and put them on maybe spread them out between 2 EPs. I was expecting out of this album more of a hardcore, something more Hell's Pit-esque, or, you know, possibly a Jekyll type record, or even, you know, little remnants of Riddlebox, Malenko. Just seeing a little bit of the old school shining through. I really thought on this second card that that's what they were going to go after, and they didn't. They just kind of stuck with the same old bang pow boom flow and the same feeling, and I think that's a big reason why ICP is not what they used to be. You can see that on Jekyll Brothers and Malenko. You can see that, you know, they were fighting. They're not fighting anymore. It's almost like they've laid down and given up, and they're comfortable with where they're at, and I don't think they should do that. I think they should come out swinging as hard as they possibly can. The fact of the matter is I also think that Mikey Clark is losing a step, big time. And I think they might want to start looking outside of Mikey Clark. Somebody who possibly grew up, you know, being a juggalo, listening to the old stuff, and really, really, really knows the old shit, and knows what to do to bring these guys back to where they need to be. I honestly think they need an inside man, an inside juggalo, somebody who knows exactly what juggalos want, to be able to bring that out of them, to say, hey, this isn't it. You guys need to do something else. Or sit there and, you know, just give them insight. And I honestly think if they had someone like that on the inside while making an album, man, they could just not be stopped. They still have the talent. They still have what it takes to make the good music, obviously. We see it on this album. There is hints of great, great, great music on this album. There is stuff on the Mighty Death Pop that is just amazing. That could have been such a great, great Joker card, but it fell short at too many spots, and it just lingered, and it kind of sparsely placed different types of sounds, and it almost feels like they just threw it together really quick. Even though supposedly they worked on this for close to 2 years, it really feels like it was quickly thrown together, not thought about very much, and it doesn't seem like it went through any test runs before it was released. I honestly think they need to take albums like this that are so serious and such a part of their career. You know, as a second Joker card, you need to take the necessary steps to make sure that it's going to be as impactful as the rest of your Joker cards. The spirit that was guiding them is no longer guiding them in the right direction. It seems like that spirit might have left them, and it's no longer guiding them to help juggalos and to speak the message of the Dark Carnival. It's almost like they've lost that. They barely even mention juggalos, and it's sad because a lot of people are starting to listen to ICP more recently, and they're becoming a lot bigger right now, and it's just sad that a lot of people are going to pick up something like this and say to themselves, this is what Insane Clown Posse is, because we all know that this is not what Insane Clown Posse is. I want to start off by saying the intro is weak. Just like, kind of like Fonz Pond. The kids that spoke in Fonz Pond, it almost reminds me a lot of like that type of thing, like a Fonz Pond type intro, or the way Fonz Pond was, and I really wasn't digging. I liked the song Fonz Pond, but the intro was just terrible. Stop using kids and stuff. I want to hear Shaggy and Jay in the middle. I want to hear them saying crazy stuff, making prank phone calls to people's houses like they used to, getting all crazy and screaming. I like the song The Mighty Death Pop, title track. Starts off the album. The difference between this and Bang Pow Boom is Bang Pow Boom's title track ended the album. On this one, Mighty Death Pop is opening the album. Now it's very similar to the Bang Pow Boom title track. It has that upbeat kind of tempo. I don't think it's as good as the Bang Pow Boom song. The Bang Pow Boom song was actually pretty decent. Night of the Chainsaw, like I said before, this song sounds like it should have been on a Violent J solo album, like it almost came off of The Shining or something. It almost feels like this album is pasted together. Chris Benoit, same thing. It's a great song. Wonderful music video. Song as well feels like it was pasted out of nowhere. It really feels like it was just slapped on this CD as kind of like maybe a last thing, or maybe it was the first song they made and this was the direction that they wanted to take this album in, and they just didn't live up to it. I'm not sure. When I first heard this song, I said to myself, this album is going to be fucking amazing. I was like, if everything is like this, if everything follows this path of Chris Benoit, I can only imagine how great this album is going to be. I ended up getting the album and just shaking my head like, no. I mean, it's good, and I'll say it over and over again, I do enjoy it, and I'm not completely disrespecting it, but it's just not what I expected at all. The Blaster feels like it comes right from the Riddle Box, or Jekyll Brothers, or, you know, an older Joker card. It has that feeling, has that impact. It's Jay at his fucking best, man. This is Violent J literally at his best. One of my favorite tracks on this album, hands down. It hit me right away. It stuck with me. I still put this song on. It gives me that good feeling. It would be a wonderful song for them to do live. Just one of those songs that Jay can just stand in the middle of the stage and just really get into it, and I can really see that song being a future Juggalo classic. Kickin'. Alright, it's a good track, okay, but it honestly feels like it should have been on like a DJ Clay mixtape. I mean, seriously, let's get real. It's the first hardcore bassy track that's ever been on a Joker card. It's the first bouncing bass song that's ever been on a Joker card. Bouncy. I'm talking bouncy. You know, like hip-hop. Bouncy. Down south. Bouncy. You know what I mean? Like fucking whatever. Mainstream. Bouncy. Now, don't get me wrong. They do it really good. But does it belong on a Joker's card? I'll leave you that question. Bazooka Joey. Great tune. Not bad. But what I do have to say about Bazooka Joey is like what I have to say about Night of the Chainsaw. It feels as if it should have been on a Shaggy 2 Dope solo record. The concept, you know, it's kind of just, it feels like they almost like pulled out of a hat to pick like topics for these songs. These songs are not deep at all. There's no real emotion. It's just a guy who finds a fucking bazooka and runs around shooting everything. I mean, it's cool, it's fun, don't get me wrong, but what does it have to do with the carnival? What does it have to do with Juggalos? What does it have to do with this movement? What does it have to do with this Joker card? Nothing. Very disappointed. Love the song, but I'm just disappointed. Shooting Stars. Shooting Stars. Sounds like it was right off of Hell's Pit. This song loses me when he starts talking about Chris Brown. Okay, get off of Chris Brown's dick. Like, honestly. Chris Brown is a douchebag, but do you really need to give him the respect of putting his name on a Joker card? It disappointed me so bad to hear Violent J even say his name on this fucking CD. Another one that just feels like it was just slapped in there. Very short song. Next one, Juggalo Juice. I love this song. I will definitely say that this song is really cool. It almost sounds like they sat down and tried to do a commercial for Fago, you know, and stuff. Yes, definitely a cool track, but another thing about it is, like I said, this is a Joker's card, and it just seemed like it was a little too not relevant to what this card is supposed to be about. It just wasn't relevant, and I don't think it should have been placed on this album either. Another song I do not feel should have been on this record. Next one, Scream, featuring Hobson and Tech 9. The only guest appearance I want to see on a Joker's card is Twisted or Blaze, or people that have been running with you and run with the hatchet and are down-ass real juggalos who are on Psycho motherfucking Pathic records. Anyone else should not be graced with a Joker's card. I think the song Scream is fucking terrible, okay? Scream! Ah! Like a wild banshee. Dude, that fucking, I swear to God, the worst hook, the worst chorus in the history, besides the Bone from fucking Bang Pow Boom, the worst chorus in fucking Juggalo history ever. Admit that when Tech 9 comes on, he completely and utterly saves this song and makes me listen to it more and more and more. Therefore, starting to actually enjoy things like Scream, like a wild banshee. I don't know how they passed that in the studio. I don't know, they were all sitting around and actually thought to themselves, this is a good idea. Let's put a song that says Scream like a wild fucking banshee on it. Yeah, people are going to respect that. Ghetto Rainbows. It's an okay song. It's kind of too poppy, too happy for me. Definitely doesn't belong on a Joker's card. I'm going to go right to the point. It's not a bad song, but it's not a Joker card song. And it really just feels like they don't know the direction they want to go in. It almost seems like every song feels like they're trying to go in another direction and then they never really go in the other direction. They kind of just half-ass do each style. They half-ass do it and then they don't like move on with it and kind of progress it. Hater to Death. I fucking love this track. Next one, When I'm Clowning. Not a bad track, back and forth type of thing. But, you know, like I said, I just don't think a lot of these are Joker card worthy. Like I said, they probably should have. I mean, I don't know how many times I gotta say it. I just don't think this should have been a Joker card. It's disappointing that it is. It's disappointing that they didn't realize this before they released it. I'm in no way trying to down talk on ICP. I love them to death. But I just think they need to think a little bit before they do things like this. I mean, if Joker cards are that important to them and they mean that much to them, then how comes they released an album like this? That's what really grabs me by the balls and squeezes. I just don't understand why they would release something like this, so patchy and so thrown together and so incoherent, if they cared about the Joker cards. If they really thought that these were sacred and they gave a shit about this, then why? Why? The next track is Dog Catchers. I think it's kind of corny because of the whole dog catcher thing. I just think it's just a little on the corny side, and I've been noticing that from ICP a little bit lately. They just really, some of the topics they pick are just really corny. I mean, before, it used to be a little bit more darker, more circus-orientated, more carnival, more juggalo-orientated. It just seems like they fell away from that. Daisies. At first, I didn't really like this track. Very hard to hear Jay's lyrics. It's a good track, but it's a confusing track. It's another one that just kind of comes out of nowhere and has a whole different flow, a whole different style. It's not a bad thing. I love that they try to do different things. You know, I'd hate if they came out with a riddle box every time they release an album. I would not like it. I would be disappointed. But I am also disappointed when you take a bunch of different styles and a bunch of different sounds and you try to slap them together on an album and then call it cohesive. Where's God is a great track. It makes a lot of sense. It definitely poses a question, and a good one at that. It's not super deep, but it does try to be deep, if that makes any sense. Now, Forever is a really good song. It's probably one of my favorite tracks besides Blaster off of this album. It's, you know, a reflection song, and it really makes you reflect on your life and think about life in general, and just a very good track altogether. And that's pretty much what I think about this album. It could have been better. It shouldn't have been a Joker's card. A lot of these songs are good, but they're sparsely placed and they're just not cohesive. And that's a big problem, especially because it's supposed to be a Joker's card. Especially because it's supposed to be cohesive. It's supposed to have a meaning behind it, but there really is no meaning behind it. And if the meaning behind it is YOLO, you know, you've only lived once, well then, what the fuck is the real message here? Something that we already know, something that, you know, is an obvious thing. I understand, ICP, that you want juggalos to do better and better themselves, and that you guys are growing up and this and that and the other, but you have to remember the crowd that you are performing in front of. You have to remember who we are.